start. Hopefully Charlie will sort that out. So if some of you guys could show yourself again, just like Michael and yeah, Cheryl, you're the brave ones. That'd be great because it's good to talk to somebody if you're confident enough. Okay. The great void, digital void. All right.
I know if you get someone on more attractive. Oh, there we go.
You look fine, Michael. Okay. All right. Thank you. We're getting off to a good start here. So I'm going to share my screen a little bit here. We'll get underway. So welcome everybody. I'm Nicolas David Ngan of the Centre for Conscious Ascension. And this free webinar is about how to help others transmute their karma into their gifts of service. Self-conflict reading work. A lot of people can't come because of the time zone difference to North America especially. So that's why we make the YouTube video for people, okay? So it will be publicly available, but if you see anything you don't want on that, just tell me, and then I will edit that bit out. Because there are about 60 odd people, I think, 60 people registered. So I'll sort of give an intro and then we'll get into why you guys are here, okay? So have you noticed how people turn away from the biggest karmic challenges in their lives? I did for a good 40 odd years. And no matter how hard they've tried, okay, they just can't face it. It's just too painful emotionally for the ego, because the ego doesn't like pain. And it's mainly due to the lack of having a spiritual map of life, of how life really works. Most people run around in life with the lights off. It's like driving around in the dark with a car. Lights are off, no sat-nav. That's what most people do in life. And then you die and you come back and do it again. Doesn't sound like much fun, but that's the majority of human beings are doing that. So this webinar is all about how do you switch the lights on to help others? How do you help them switch their lights on so they can actually drive, know where they're going and have the lights switched on, getting their spiritual sat-nav going. And that's all about identifying the core karmic patterns, creating their life the way it is, and how to go about transmuting them for real. Most people get through life on hope and a prayer and just hope things work out, and a lot of the time it doesn't, or maybe partially, and we wish there could be a bit more, or a lot more. So the point of this is to show that you can help others deliver the gift of service to the world, because we all have one. So it's buried in there somewhere, despite all the challenges of life. And it's that special thing that we've been looking for our entire life. I felt this from a very early age. There was something special I was here to do, and in school and university and working in the corporate world didn't answer that question to me at all, and just thought someone was holding something back, and none of these sort of official channels, school, university, no one really knew what was going on. I just felt something was off, something wasn't quite right. And ultimately that was, what was my gift of service? What was my deeper purpose for being alive in this body on earth? So what I'd like to do, this webinar is very much about working with what your needs, okay? Someone else just joined us here. Naomi's come. So the energy of this webinar is determined by, hi Naomi, is determined by why you guys are here. That determines which way I'll go with it, and to meet your needs of, well, you're all drawn for a reason. So I'd like to know your name, where you're located, and what brought you here. What do you need from this? Because then from that, the energy will formulate into a group consciousness, and then I'll be able to deliver what you actually need. So you can either talk to me, which is preferable because then I can connect to you, even if you leave the camera off. But as many cameras on as possible. It's not compulsory, but it's really helpful in connecting. Or you can just send it on the chat to me. It's the other thing you can do. Feeling a bit shy, which is quite normal for these sort of webinars. So I'm going to start with the brave ones. So Michael, what brought you here? Okay, where are you and what brought you here?
Well, I'm based in Switzerland. So I'm originally from the UK. I've sort of adopted Switzerland over the last 15 years. As my home. And I was fortunate in the last few months to have somebody actually perform your analysis for me.
Yeah.
And you know, I've done some personal development work already, had the opportunity to look at some other methods, and I found the information from your tool particularly deep and rich as well in information. And as you said in your book, which I've also purchased, it takes a certain amount of time for the different layers of the information, I think, to settle. And I'm at the point now, after a few months of re-looking at this information, of having, you know, getting into that settling mode. But I think one of the things that I'm looking for as a next step is to get a more expert perspective on what this all means for me. So it's one thing for me to formulate my own ideas and get my own impressions for what it would mean, but to have an expert perspective would be, I think, very useful for me. So I'm not necessarily expecting to get that expert perspective in this particular meeting, but perhaps to understand what could be possible, you know, based on the services that you offer. And I think the other thing as well is the other side of your business, which is related to other tools that you offer to help work through some of the karmic issues.
Okay, that's pretty clear. Okay, thank you. Cheryl, the other brave one. You're on.
The other brave one. Well, I, like you, Nicolas, have always felt there was a pull for me since I was a child. And I always found the most joy for me when I was interacting with people versus doing anything else in my life besides that and learning. Those were like the two things for me where I just felt like I would open up more and more. So about halfway through my life, I became a teacher. And the teaching definitely showed me the right direction for me. That opened me up, brought me joy, changed how I viewed my life. And so I since retired, and I've always studied anything metaphysical in the last 15, 20 years, something like that. And so I've been shown many different things. I've got, you know, issues that I'm trying to deal with on my own through the karma that I was brought here for, to be able to learn my lessons and so forth. So for me, I've been guided and directed in the last 2 or 3 years to do different things. And so I was guided to your book about 3 or 4 months ago, and I think I shared this on another webinar. I was insatiable. I couldn't stop reading your book. It just resonated with me and came through. And so I have been drawn to you and this process and all the things that the Center for Consciousness represents. And so for me, I just signed up for the Soul Contract Level 1. I'm so excited about that. And so I think that's my direction. And I'm just starting to peel the layers of myself. And I want to be able to help others do the exact same thing. So that's why I'm here.
Okay.
Long story. Sorry.
That's pretty clear though, Cheryl. Thank you. Okay. All right. Charlie, do you want to go? I muted you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, pretty clear. Bring the microphone up to your mouth a bit more.
I think it's fun.
Yeah, that
Is
one.
that better?
That's better, yeah.
Awesome. Lovely. So I came across a book actually 3, 4 years ago now. I'm only 24.
Yeah. Bring it up a bit closer.
So,
yeah,
okay.
that's better.
So, okay. So I'm so young, I think, in this whole sector of soul awakening, or, you know, soul decoding, if you like.
You're getting a lot of background noise. Are you able to close the door? There sounds like kids in the background or something.
Yeah, no, unfortunately I can't. He's going to take the kids in 2 minutes.
Okay.
So,
Do your best.
maybe if anyone wants to go before me.
You keep going.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess kind of the whole being so young and being on this journey, I came across the book about 3 years ago, but I only actually read it again about a year ago, and everything kind of started adding up as to what it meant to me and how I was going to get or express my own soul code into the world. But I guess my whole thing was understanding all the different fragments to myself and understanding all the different fragments of this awakening or this energy that I'm getting, and being able to kind of integrate it into one, which I find quite tricky because I feel like it's so scattered at the moment. But I do have this huge pull to share my story and do the work, do the service. That's extremely strong in me. I just want to know or I would like clarity on how to integrate all the different fragments into one in a way that works, I guess. Because everywhere I go and everywhere I kind of try and put my own contribution, I'm just told, you're still quite young, you still have a lot to kind of, a lot of wisdom to learn and a lot of wisdom to kind of experience in order to help others. But to be honest, I feel that it's my journey. I feel that it's my purpose to do that and offer that to others.
Okay, thank you. All right, if you can go back on mute because of the background kids. Okay.
Sure.
Right. PJ, do you want to talk in the car?
Hi.
Hi.
you can see I'm driving.
Yeah.
So
as long as it's safe.
I apologize. I put up. Yes.
Look at the road and talk to us. That's okay.
All right. Yeah, I think similar to some of these other stories, I was also a teacher for a while and had planned to be doing that until I retired. But, universe has other plans. And then at some point, I don't even know how, I ended up finding your book and finding your information. And it's fascinating. And so since the past years, I've changed location, like physical location. I've changed jobs, like what I'm doing for work. I'm doing more like intuitive work, healing work, into, kind of working with people in a different way than teaching, but still teaching. So I'm just curious to see, how it all unfolds from here.
Okay, thank you. And where actually are you driving to?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia at the moment.
Okay.
So I'm just driving to pick up a friend, and she was in the shop, so I'm taking her to her car.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Delta, nice to see you after the email conversations. Do you want to just unmute there? Yeah, that's it.
Hey.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So what am I sharing? Just
what's brought you here, okay? And what you need from us. We're sort of setting energy for the group, you see.
Yeah.
It's very fluid when we do the webinars. Depends on what you guys need, you see.
Yeah. Well, I've been challenged with chronic pain for over 30 years, and I'm kind of challenged by that, feeling like I'm holding on, but then, realizing that it's ancestral patterning and memory and information and lifetimes. And I can't get a hold on it, but I know it's real close of unraveling something. But anyway, and I'm here because, I changed my name and it changed my life. So, and I'm moving into that more. So just an overall kind of allowing myself to step into a new and powerful me on a different level. 'Cause I've always worked with my husband of 30 years that I left, and now I'm sort of overwhelmed with stepping into my own work and my own finances. So it's kind of seems like a lot's going on.
Okay. It's a major life change, yeah.
Major life change. Thanks to a new name.
Yep. Yeah, it's called name optimization. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you optimize your name correctly, you can have a completely different life. So,
Oh, it's been the most transformative thing that I've ever done. It's mind-boggling.
yeah, it's like being born again. I did it
Totally.
13 years ago, and my life's totally changed as a result.
Totally. Yeah, born again, totally.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? You can either talk or without the video if you feel a bit shy, which is fine. Roberta, you're unmuted. Do you want to introduce yourself? You don't have to if you don't want. Or
Sure. Sorry, I'm at work, so when I've got personal health information for patients on my desk, so I can't unmute myself.
Totally understand.
My name's Roberta. I'm from Toronto, Canada. I read your book with great interest, and just seeing if I know there's a bit more to it, connecting things together. For me, like I know at the end it said that there were other books and information that you're coming out with, and I kind of feel like some of that, hoping if there's more of that information that's going to come through today.
Okay, understood. Okay.
Was that what I had to answer, or was there something else?
Yep, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. What I'll do,
I think it goes hand in hand with numerology, and I find it like very interesting how they play together. Like I'm a very mathematical mind, so it's decoding how you wrote the book as well and how your logic flows.
Okay, understood. All right. What I'll do is I'll give you you guys an overview, plus I'll answer some of your questions as I go of what the system is doing. Given there's a wide range of different needs here. All right. So I'm going to share my screen now, so you get a bit of PowerPoint here. We found out why some of you guys are here. Okay. So how does this whole thing of karma work, really? Well, sort of a summary of this work is that our karma, sounds like most of you read the book, our physical and our spiritual karma contains our spiritual gift of service, even though it does not appear like that initially. It feels like the world's coming after us in a big way. And our karmic patterns, by the law of attraction, which I'm sure most of you have heard of, create a lot of hard stuff when we're younger. Most of us sort of feel we wouldn't want to be young again simply because it was tougher then. It's provided we've worked through our stuff since then. Because what happens is that what we're actually here to really create in life, the law of opposites creates the opposite. Like if we're here to come into our power, we're going to feel disempowered. If we're here to come into worthiness to be loved, we come in with unworthiness to be loved. So the universe gives us all the stuff we don't like, but the point of it is that it gets us clear on what we do want. And most people get to that point and that's it. They don't get any further because they don't have the tools to understand, well, what exactly is the positive stuff and what exactly is the negative stuff and what do I do about it? Let alone getting to your gift of service here. I walked into a hotel room in Phoenix, Arizona in 1990 and met Frank Alper, who was the founder of this work. And he did my Star of David and by hand, and we didn't have fancy software like we have now that some of you have used, and he explained my entire life in an hour, and he explained I would be doing what I'm doing now, which is teaching a lot of people, reaching a lot of people with my spiritual work. And I just started on the spiritual path. I was an emotional zombie. I had a very abusive childhood, and I thought, you've got to be joking. I don't think I'm ever going to achieve any of that. But 30 odd years later, that's actually happened. And that's actually what triggered me to learn to do this work. just the power of his reading. Someone had put together my life for the first time, all the disparate, seemingly random events, and explained there was an order to it. And so I brought this work to the UK and then spent a lot of time studying it, and then started teaching it in 1994, as well as started teaching the other teachers of it about 2001. So my job was my gift of service is to be a custodian of sacred knowledge and to preserve it, maintain its consciousness, and share it in the world. That's what we do at the Centre for Conscious Ascension. So I'm very much carrying out my gift of service. But it didn't come easy though. So some of you guys are coming on the training in October, and you are the answer to the search that people have. Well, what is my real purpose here? People ask what is the meaning of life? It's not to make a ton of money or have a lot of assets in the end. People who do that end up on top of the salt mountain and realize I've spent a lot of time doing something which I actually don't want in the end. They're never particularly happy. I have some very wealthy clients, and not that many of them are that happy unless they really do their work, which is why they turn up at my doorstep. So I've seen what the Western model of got to make a lot of money does. The happiest people I've seen are not those with lots of money, it does help, but those who are already aligned to their path, who found this answer, they're delivering their gift. They're the happiest people I've seen. And this work, even if you just take the book and work out your contract on there, which some of you have done, or say, Michael, you want to have more expert input, you could have a reading from me or another practitioner to go into more depth, because the book is based upon the training manual with some things taken out which are quite controversial, which wouldn't be appropriate in the public domain, to try and reach as many people as possible, to awaken people at an affordable level. I got a very strong push from Spirit to do this. Frank Alper, he passed in 2007, he was actually one of my major guides for writing the book, because he actually started a book but never finished it. So he was guiding me, especially in the case studies. He was his Brooklyn accent coming through, guiding me in terms of what to put together. So training as a soul contract reader enables you to answer that people's search for that answer to what am I really here for? And most people never get that answer. So it enables you to decode that blueprint of life hidden in their birth name, in the sound of the birth name, which creates your reality in each moment. And this is quite different from conventional numerology you may be used to, because it doesn't assign numbers to the Roman alphabet. It uses the pure sound of Hebrew, which is one of the 5 sacred languages that comes out of the movement of God or Great Spirit in the creation of creation. And this is God here. This is the flower of life, which represents that movement. And if you do some sacred geometry on this, Hebrew emerges out of it. Okay, so it's very pure. That's why it's so powerful. This is why some of you are so drawn to it. That's why some of you read the book in 24 to 48 hours. That's the average read time, 24 to 48 hours. One guy messaged me from New York, said, I went to the bookstore, Nicolas. I had 6 other books in my arms. Your book jumped off the shelf. I dumped the other books, went home, and I finished at 4 a.m. the following morning, because I had to have the answer. And that's a pretty common story with the book. Because it's the secret, it's the answer to the search. That's why the book was written. And it transmits the really high frequency of that truth of God, basically. That's what the pure frequencies of God. That's why it's so strong. That's why it almost puts you under a spell when you pick up that book. It's like a portal to sacred knowledge, the way Spirit's designed it. So you can learn the spiritual map of life to empower others. You can share it with them so they can overcome their karma. They can turn all the heavy stuff into their gifts. They can bring their talents online, achieve their goals. And if they do all that, which takes a whole lifetime, but if you give them that map, then they can manifest their life purpose, which very few people do, actually. Most people come back and do the same sort of contract many times So what you can do is that you can generate the Star of David. There's a physical triangle and a spiritual triangle here. The physical triangle being the first 5 cycles of 7 years, first 35 years, we focus on establishing our temporary personality expression. We're all just brand new in this life, but our soul's eternal. It's like our operating system. We establish it here on Earth. And so we need to interface with the world and relate and get jobs and careers, get sort of acclimated to this reality. Then the upward pointing spiritual triangle triggers between 35 and 42 or younger. And that's where most people have their midlife crisis or spiritual awakening or dark night of the soul, where the soul says, okay, we've established ourselves now, let's get on with the real mission. That's where the real search for purpose comes. And I left my job at 37 in the corporate world. I was sitting in a glass box in the city of London in high-tech satellite communications, and I was in a very good position, but I felt this is not it. This is not it. And I was on a retreat in Spain that year, and I just woke up to the brilliant orange sunrise in the Sierra Nevadas and realized I have to quit this job. My soul switched on my spiritual triangle. There's something more important for me to do, which is the work I'm doing now, 20 odd years on. And so people come to this work because they're switching on the spiritual triangle. They want to know the truth. And the conventional 3D answers are not doing the job. And so within each of these triangles, the 3 aspects is your physical karma, physical talents, physical goals. This is the physical outer world presentation. Physical outer world interaction. I'm sharing some of this. Most of you know this, but some guys may watch this video cold, so they need a little bit of structure. So just bear with me. And so the karmic pattern here in the physical is our negative context, our challenges, which we have to engage with. And the physical talents help you overcome that. If it's a good match, and then if they get stronger, then the physical goals are like our dream, what gets us out of bed in the morning. Mine are to 8s in the system, to connect to people and connect to society with this sort of work. So the energy moves from karma, the talents, to goals in the physical. And here's where the real answer lies in terms of the gift. The spiritual karmic pattern here is the real gift of opening to higher consciousness in a specific way by activating the spiritual talents, which help the spiritual karma transmute from the challenge into the gift. And so facing our karma is the last thing that most people would ever do. I mean, most people are in avoidance. They're into addiction, addictive patterns, workaholism, media, whatever it is to stop feeling that. But if you became a soul contract reader, even for your own personal growth, but turning into it is the key to living a better life and bringing that gift out to the world. My gift here was to, or my karma was to be very disempowered, but then to turn into it and transmute it into positive power to catalyze change in the world. As the talents get stronger, that leads to achievement of the spiritual goals, which in my case is to duplicate and share this knowledge. This is the custodian part of me. And if you consciously work on all these 6 aspects here over time, this is percentage complete. If you're consciously aware of your own contract, or you're helping others as a practitioner overcome these 6 outer aspects, then the soul destiny, the real purpose of life, starts to manifest in layers. So it's gradually revealed to you. There's not some big stone biblical tablet that lands telling you what you should do. It's basically layer by layer things are revealed to you. Like I started off when I left my corporate job as a one-to-one practitioner in London, giving these readings and a bit of healing. Then I started teaching. Then that started growing, and then came a time where Spirit said to me, time to write the book. So a best-selling book came out of that, and all sorts of opportunities to spread consciousness. So more and more things started to appear, which I hadn't even dreamed of, because I was actively following my contract that Frank had shared with me, actively progressing as quick as I could through each of these 6 aspects. So a couple of people have joined us. I'm going to join them. Okay. Dorothy and Renee. Okay. To answer your question, Michael, about, well, how do you work through your contract? The key to working through the contract is to bring consciousness to each of these patterns. What the soul does is that at any given moment, the soul is triggering, it's focusing on maybe 1 or 2 of these at any given time. Because it's actually sort of, it's inside you, it's in your heart primarily, but it's spread through your entire body, the soul essence. But it's actually triggering your contract. And the contract takes the form of a substance called karmic matrix. It's like a grey cobweb, fine cobweb substance. It's in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional parts of your being. And it's actually, as it activates, it radiates out to the reality, certain experiences in the matrix, rearranges around that. Okay? And so it's waiting to see, well, what are you going to do about this, Michael? And then if you figure that out, you heal it or you work through the challenge, then it will start to shift. Maybe a few hours or days or weeks later, it'll shift to something else. And so the key with each experience is to consciously ground into it and embrace it and do your best consciously to work through it. But also the other thing to have is you need some sort of self-healing tool to actually burn through the programs which are becoming conscious as a result of that. So we need an emotional healing tool, and the healing tool we've developed at the Center for Conscious Ascension is called Divine Healing, which uses the higher self, which designed this whole construct, to dismantle this construct in the right order by bringing feeling consciousness to it. So that's to answer that question, Michael. And so the soul contract acts as a spiritual map of life. It's unfolding, it's very dynamic, its emphasis shifts by the hour, by the day, depending on how you're progressing or your client is progressing. And if someone has issues that come up, then you work with whatever presents, Michael. That's the key. Rather than, you can avoid something, but it'll just keep coming back until you deal with it. But it's about working with it and dismantling the ego. And the ego is basically a construct that creates a sense that we're separate from God, from all it is. So we have a sense that we've been abandoned, or feel unworthy, or don't trust God, or it's usually all 3 of them. They're the 3 karmic patterns which everyone has in some combination that creates life. So our job is to consciously burn through everything, all the negative stuff happening in our life, to transmute it into the positive reconnection to higher consciousness. And that's the purpose of self-healing tools. That's why we use divine healing. And this provides the map of, well, why is certain stuff happening? What's causing it? So therefore we know which programs to work on. Okay. All right, so let's have a look here. Has anyone here not had this and not done their soul contract? Either work generated themselves or has not had it from someone else? PJ, you want to talk to me? Oh, I mute you. Hang on.
I think I had it, we talked about it at one point, maybe on a call, but it was a year or so ago. But no, I've never had it formally done.
Oh, well, let's do yours quickly then, shall we?
Okay, sure.
Is that going to be okay in the car?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm getting ready to pull over here in a minute. So.
All right. So, PJ, what's the current name you use? It's just PJ, is it?
Mm-hmm. It's PJ Posey.
Okay.
Yeah, I was interested when you were saying the other lady was talking about her name change.
Yeah, basically a name change is let's do the birth name first and we'll talk about name change. Okay. It's more complex. I have to turn this into phonetic because this is a phonetic system. How we say it as it sounds. So I'm putting phonetic sounds in here.
Okay, gotcha.
P and J. So, and what's your birth certificate name?
Birth certificate is Pamela Jean.
Surname Posey?
Mm-hmm, Posey, P-O-S-E-Y.
Okay. I'm not going to ask your birthday because this is a public video. Okay. What's your birth sign?
my sign,
Yeah.
Capricorn,
Okay.
sun sign, Capricorn.
All right. We'll just do this now. Okay. So we're going to use the software to generate the chart. So what we've done here, this is for the guys who are watching the video who may not be familiar with it, is that we've matched Pamela Jean Posey with the equivalent Hebrew sounds. Sometimes some letters are combined. And within the 22 Hebrew letters we use, and these letters have a Hebrew number inherent within them. It's not allocated, it's inherent within them. So these are the Hebrew numbers here. So we take these Hebrew numbers. What's that, PJ?
Posey is not my birth name. Does that matter?
It does matter a lot.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So my birth name is Johnson.
Johnsson?
Yes.
Okay, that changes things completely. So,
Oh, great.
so the book and the part I'm talking about here is based upon just the birth certificate name. So what we're doing is that we're going to take these numbers here, we're going to allocate them on the Star of David. We're just go around in a circle, keep going around, allocating them until we use them all up. That's where you have a string of numbers here. And then what we do is that we add the numbers up. For example, in spiritual karma, the total of numbers here, 1 plus 5 plus 14 is 20. And there's always two numbers in these aspects. So there's 20 here. And this is the smallest possible number. So we simply reduce it. 2 plus 0 is 2. So we get 20-2 here. In the case of a 32, the case of physical karma, we have a total of 32. And because there's only 22 numbers with 22 interpretations from the soul of Moses, we simply go 3 plus 2 equals 5 to get a number between 1 and 22, so it makes some sense. And 5 can't be reduced anymore, so we get 5 plus nothing produces another 5, so we get what we call a double number. So we get one frequency of 5, whereas here in the 20-2 we get a wider range of frequency between a pure 20 and a pure 2, which is like being hot and cold taps in the shower. So at any given moment, PJ, you're somewhere on this continuum here between a 20 and a 2. Okay. So we work all the other numbers out accordingly. Then we take these physical numbers on the top half of the table here, spiritual numbers on the bottom half. Okay. And then we sum them up to get the 59 and the 32. 5 plus 9 is 14, so that's a number between 1 and 22. 3 plus 2 is 5. That pops in the middle, and that's your soul destiny, PJ.
Okay.
And all these squiggly symbols are channeled symbols that Frank brought through, which are like little portals. And if you're very sensitive, like you are, PJ, you'll feel the energy of it.
Mm.
So, looking at this chart here, this is saying that you're here to learn to speak the truth no matter what, and that may have been suppressed as a child. That's what it's saying. Did that happen as a kid, PJ?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, I was one of those, like, I was kind of scripted what to say.
Yep.
But, yeah.
And the 11-2 saying you got a very good brain. You like to find your own structure of truth and build that structure. Okay.
Yeah.
And the 9 is saying, this is very brief reading, and the 9 here is saying there's a lot of disempowerment as a child, a lot of suppression of some sort, or abuse or neglect, or all of them. That's what that's indicating here. Did that happen?
I would agree, yes.
Yeah, because the idea of this is to learn to speak your truth and come into your power. That's the lesson, other gifts from this. And in spiritual karma, the lesson here is about, did you ever like a strong, rigid religious upbringing of some sort?
A little bit, yes. Well,
Yeah.
we lived across the street from the church.
Oh, well, there you go. So,
Yeah. The first Baptist church in the South. We lived across the street.
So this is about overcoming strong, rigid belief systems imposed as a child, then going to explore different belief systems to find out, well, what is your truth? Okay. And the 2 is about learning to be emotionally resilient in that process.
Mm.
And the 7 here is about working with an open heart to draw like-minded people to you.
Mm.
So did you enjoy teaching?
I did, very much.
Yeah, this is about drawing like-minded people and synergizing it into a greater whole. This is a magnetic networking type energy. And you've also got it here in spiritual goals, which is saying part of you wants to hide away, or used to want to hide away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you had to make a decision to show your true self. This is your true hidden self.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the public part you put out to the world, so people wouldn't see the wounded part of you from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the soul destiny here is 14.5. This is all about, would you say you're quite emotionally intense, PJ?
I can be.
So this is reflected
yeah.
So you're here to, with that intensity, to mirror to people parts of themselves they haven't seen, which will make you a good teacher because you'd show students the multidimensional parts they're not aware of. Okay, so you're definitely in the right job there. Okay. And you have the classic configuration of people drawn to this work. You want to seek the absolute truth, and you want the structure of how that works. Okay, most people who are into this work want this, and they've been looking for that their entire life, and no one's really told them what that is. It's like 80% the truth, but your attitude probably is, "Where's the rest?" You're not getting the rest. I'm getting bored, or I don't want any more of this. Sound familiar?
It does, absolutely.
Yeah. So
amazing.
you're here to bring truth to people, empower them, and with an open heart, show them who they are. That's the purpose of this life. And support them in sharing your unique structure of truth. Okay?
Got it.
All right. And this is the reason you're very intuitive as well, those 5s. Okay. So there you go. 10 minutes. That's your entire life.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
That's wonderful.
Any specific question you have about your life before we move on?
Thank you. Well, it's yeah, I feel like I'm just moving into the next level right now.
Yeah.
And like most people, I'm sure they have the question, well, what is that going to be? And what's that going to look like? And what do I need to focus on to get to that place? So the universe has put me in a position where I have like open options right now.
Right.
So it's allowed me to kind of take some time to explore different things and then have the freedom to realize where to go from here.
Okay, so this is your current name, which acts like an overlay of energy. It's like a layer of icing on the cake of your life. This is not in the book.
Okay.
This infuses across here, so I'll try and answer that question. So I would say these energies affect these overlay energies affect the birth energies, and positive, negative, or have no effect. Depends. The first subcontract reading training, which some of you are coming on, teaches you how these birth names work, but how this works, other names and relationships is taught, and the name optimization we talked about with Delta, that's taught in the level 2. It's about relationships, which is a really juicy, extremely juicy sort of thing. You want to know how things really work.
Yeah.
Essentially, I'd say here, you are here to be a teacher from the heart, because that's what your previous training was, in plain English, of spiritual knowledge to empower people, and to do it in a pioneering way, to help them explore life here. Okay. And to really keep reflecting, see, it's repeated itself, to keep reflecting back to them who they really are. That's a summary of what's next. So you're going to build on that all that past experience.
Yes.
Yeah. How does that sound as an idea?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like it.
Nothing is wasted in life. Everything's training for whatever's next.
Isn't that the truth? Well, what's funny is whenever I went into my teaching position originally, that was not my goal. I was a student of a program, and then the teacher just recommended me to teach.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's how I got the experience for those, 15 years to use that training and that experience on the next level. And then all of a sudden, suddenly I was out of that job. And so it's like, okay, you've learned what you needed to learn here. We need to move somewhere else and use those skills in a different way now.
Yep. I mean, I taught English in Japan for a couple of years as English as a foreign language to learn how to teach. It was tough.
Uh-huh.
That's how it started. You see, then I converted that to teaching practitioners. Evolved this over many years.
Mm-hmm.
This work.
Interesting. Well, I taught anatomy and physiology and healthcare related things. So I've enjoyed being able to put those concepts together with the spiritual and energetic concepts.
Okay. All right. Michael, you've written something here.
Thank you.
Okay. So, I don't know if we have time to do any other charts, guys. Okay, because I need to get through a few more things. We'll see how we do time-wise, okay? That's for you, Charlie. Okay. So, how can this work help if you learn how to do this? I mean, my focus is to share this work with as many people who want to be practitioners as possible, to wake up as many people as possible. So we have a whole range of people who use this, everything from pure, cutting-edge alternative therapists to business consultants learn this work. Okay, and some people who are trainers and facilitators use it to understand these students who come to them as well. So basically, it gives you this really powerful spiritual map of people's lives. You can understand what's going on, just like I did with PJ there. And you have an immediate and profound understanding of people's issues. So all of their presenting symptoms, challenges that they come for, because people turn up for this work for two reasons. They're already stuck and they need to unstick themselves and move forward, or they are at the point where they want to be really clear on their purpose. The two main things which draw people to this, and when they're awakening with their upward pointing spiritual triangle. So what it will allow you to do is accurately guide people throughout all your work with them. So if you're already a therapist, which some of you probably are by the sounds of it, then you can focus all your other tools around this framework, and so you can accurately focus them just at the right time for when a client needs it, because we teach you not only the interpretations, but as you see in the book, those of you who read it, there's a lot of recommendations. So basically, it's a very powerful roadmap that builds immediate trust, because when someone hears the truth of their life with this, it just cuts right through all the unconscious ego defenses, and they just sort of surrender. So yeah, that's true. This is totally true. Then they're prepared to work and work with you, simply because the ego can't hide anymore, can't deceive them anymore when the truth is revealed, because it's spent its entire life deceiving the client, simply because that's the nature of life on earth. You don't become conscious until you actually work towards it. And this means that when you work with people one-to-one or in groups, you can actually produce better and faster results, because you're flowing with what the actual deep understanding of someone is, not what you perceive it as, or not what they think it is, but what actually it truly is. Okay, that's why this is so powerful. It's a therapeutic tool. And because it creates a very powerful bond of trust with you as a facilitator or a practitioner. People will keep coming back. They want to keep working on it because they know that you have the tool which will get them to move forward through a lot of the stuff, often painful in life, so they can get to that real purpose, that hidden purpose, that gift that they've been seeking. I've been giving readings for 30 odd years, and it still stuns me how powerful this is. So with this 5-day training, it gives you a structure to understand yourself and everyone in your life. So it means you can relate to people a lot better, simply because you know what's driving them, and they can't help themselves doing what they do. But if you understand where they're coming from, it's a lot easier. And I teach you how to give readings based on people's birth names, and and how to open up your intuitive channel to deliver these readings. Okay, so this is not about memorizing all the material as you've seen in the book. It's about becoming the work, which I'll explain some more. So this is not a mental exercise. Basically, you learn experientially, where we spend the first 3 days of the course looking at your and other practitioners' birth names and the names of their friends and family. And we take the manual of interpretations as a reference. But then basically we give readings on everybody in the class. And we match up with what the interpretations are in the manual with their subjective life experience. So we transmit and activate the 22 numbers in you energetically, in your DNA and in your field. So you start to become the work. You don't learn this work, you become it. And we activate it in the body, and that's the most powerful learning, because then you don't forget it. So it's a transmission to awaken it in your DNA. And most people who come on have been exposed to this in the past, so it's an activation and remembrance of the past lives of doing this sort of work. And we support practitioners on an ongoing basis with a Facebook group and Zoom masterclasses as well, so we maintain ongoing development with it. And in the second 2 days, the 2 days at the end of the course, we basically practice giving readings to each other. That's what you do. And most people give very good readings straight out of the box, simply because they've become it. Okay, they've become it. It's about the best way I can describe it. But it's taken us 30 years to work out how to do that. That works pretty well now. So that's actually where most of the practitioners are pretty good from the get-go as soon as they come out of the course. But obviously they've got to practice with real people as well. So the gift that delivering readings does is it gives people a sense of peace when they hear the truth of their life, which most of you probably had when you read the book and did your chart. And a sense of relief that actually my life's okay, there's an order to it, it hasn't gone wrong, there's a good reason for it. And those who feel like victims, which usually is because they have a lot of disempowerment, they can take charge and actually know that from this place there's a way forward. That's the main thing. This work gives people the next step, the next viable step, and then the next one on how to move forward here. And a practitioner is trained how to help people move out of that place of feeling in fear and being a victim, if that's the case, to actually taking charge and getting on with their life. So it shows them this map, and most importantly, as a result of all the above, you can align people to their life purpose, which most people are not aligned, which is why life is challenging. And that's when life gets very fulfilling, because that's the soul is singing, it's expanding. And it touches people very deeply to hear this truth, because they may have done a lot of work, spent a lot of money, a lot of time, but not got the answers they needed. And it opens you up to a deeper level of yourself, connecting to your soul and having compassion for people. That's my major thing I've learned from this work, is to have compassion, because it's very challenging on earth. But when you can share this work and people feel it's done from love to help them move forward, it's very satisfying. And then you see the change in people. They actually create change in their life. They actually move forward. They do deliver their gift. That's pretty satisfying for me. So pretty much I've said that already. Give readings in the group. And we've got to study. We've got to work at it. It does work. So any questions? Like you guys said a lot of things at the beginning, but this is the time for questions about anything about the process or the training, whatever you want to ask. Some of you guys are coming on the training. Some of you guys might be thinking about it.
David, for those people who have read your book, how will we benefit from the course? Because obviously we've got a little bit of background, understanding or appreciation of the tool already.
The course, the major thing the course gives you is the transmission. You fully become the work. Okay, by immersing in the energies, and you get to see the transmission live of real people's lives. Okay, there's a vast difference between reading the book. Some people I think you may have been doing some, you may have been giving readings or telling people about their chart.
Correct, yes.
And give readings, but what happens is that then people think, well, I need to know a bit more, and they come on the course, and there's a vast difference between just learning from the book and actually coming on the course.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a quantum leap because you will become fully activated in the work, and I give you the state-of-the-art processes of how to hold space, how to walk someone through out of the place of unconsciousness or darkness or big challenge they're in to actually engaging with their life and getting on with it. So it's like night and day. I mean, the book is about the best we could do with a book with a sort of high level of truth. The training really opens things up enormously. So
right.
You can touch people and they will transform radically for the better.
Interesting. Well, the other thing as well is living in Switzerland, particularly the German part of Switzerland. There's, I guess, there's a question in my mind whether I'd really realistically be able to use this method in this region where there are a lot of non-English names, because I think this works on phonetics.
Well,
as a relatively inexperienced person, can I realistically do that translation?
I'll explain. The system is based upon an English to Hebrew translation matrix, but we have a training called Phonetics Support and Development where we teach you how to handle any language.
Okay.
It's available, it's taught once a year, but it's available as a video training for people who learn, they can't wait for the actual physical training.
I didn't realize that. That's great.
Actually, it's 12 hours of, it's a 2-day video training. Actually, we give you 2 trainings. So you get 4 days of it, where it's a transmission of how do you handle German, French, Spanish, Chinese. I think we handle about 22 different languages. But we explain the principles. So Schweizerdeutsch is not a big deal. German's not that hard. Okay.
Okay.
You know, with a bit of practice, I mean, I have English speakers like in German who are learning it, who are fluent in German, who have learnt it from the video and are doing fine. But you've got to do this bit first. You've got to learn the basics first.
Right.
Get into the phonetics, which is another level of complexity altogether.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
But also, because of Zoom, you can do it to anyone in the English-speaking world. It doesn't have to be people just in Switzerland.
Well, no, exactly. But I'm just in the process of starting my coaching business, and my target market is a local market.
Yeah.
So
well, in that case, yeah, we can you can learn how to handle the German. It's not a big deal. It takes a bit of practice, but once you get your head around the principles, which is what the point of the video training is, then you should be fine.
Right. Okay. Great. Just out of curiosity, why did you say that I'd already just started to do some of this with people?
Because one of your clients approached us, asking some questions. So
yeah, I know exactly who you're referring to.
I know who you are. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay. Charlie, you have a question. You have to unmute. Okay, try now.
Nothing.
Bring the microphone really close and speak slowly because sound quality is not good.
Okay. So I'm an astrologer and I do tarot readings as well. And I'm wondering, these things that I do are based from home. I have small children. I'm wondering how I could use the course alongside the work that I already do.
What sort of work do you already do? Because I didn't quite catch all that. So
I'm an astrologer.
You're in what?
I'm an astrologer. So I practice astrology.
Actually, can you just put it in the chat because it's very muffled sound. Can you just? I'll read it out. I'm only catching half the words there. Oh, astrologer. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, astrology is integrated within this, so actually combining this work with astrology gives you 99.9% of what a human is. Okay, we have quite a few astrologers learn this as well, but this gives you a whole bunch of other soul-driven stuff, which won't be fully covered in the astrology, and so you can basically combine the two really. Okay. So,
the system of astrology I work with is based on esoteric teachings anyway. It's very soul-driven. I'll write that down.
You have to type that in. I didn't quite catch that. Just put it on the chat and I'll read it out.
So, but the system is.
Yeah. Okay. This work, you said, Charlie's saying the work I do is based on esoteric teachings anyway. Yeah, well, everything comes from the source ultimately. And astrology is actually an integral part of the system because astrology comes out of the movement of Great Spirit as well. So this sort of covers most things already. So you've got an amplified piece of astrology, plus this system is going to give you the journey the soul is taking. So combining the two as a package gives clients an even bigger picture of what's going on.
Okay.
Because it still says some things he doesn't actually say, you see. So.
Okay. And my last question is, am I able to
type it in?
From home? Okay.
You just type it in. Yeah. Well, I work from home. I'm just southwest of London, but I do everything on Zoom. It's very. I don't see many people in person because it's a global business now. So you can just do it on Zoom and share the screen like I've been doing with the software. It's no problem to do it all from home. A lot of people build businesses digitally with this because of the software in Zoom. That's a piece of cake, really.
Amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else got any questions? PJ.
Okay, my question is, can you recommend anything else as far as like background teachings to the work? I mean, other than the book itself, I didn't know if there was like any additional resources for, you mentioned like being able to go further into the counseling, into the healing piece. Is there a certain kind of system or philosophies that you use?
Well, when we do the training, I teach a lot of spiritual philosophy as an integral part of it to explain the concepts. I mean, a lot of stuff's in the book, but I speak about ascension or other processes during the actual soul contract training. And in terms of the healing side, I teach divine healing, these 4 levels of that, in terms of using the higher self to dismantle what's identified in the soul contract. So that would be the 2 major pieces in terms of structure and knowledge and philosophy. To answer that question, really.
I guess my question is there a certain philosophy or, I guess philosophical, religious type basis for the work? Like, is it based in like Jewish traditions or, that sort of thing?
It's not based on any, it's Kabbalistic. It's not really based on any particular religious tradition. It's based on the concept that all is one. And this is an outbreath of the one spirit. We're on one great spirit, and we're all sparks of the divine, having an individual life experience as a spark of the Creator. And through the process of working through your contract, we're getting back to oneness. And that process of life, of searching for that pathway home, is the process of creating, essentially. And the soul contract gives the map to get back to oneness. And the divine healing gives the process for actually getting there a lot faster and more easily. It's that'll be a summary of the philosophy.
Okay.
Does that help?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Nicolas, sorry, I called you David. I called you David before, so apologies for that. Right. But could you say something about in what way does the name have an influence on us? And it gets a little bit into name change. So, for example, is it the fact of having your name in a written form, in which case having an official name change in a passport and official documents could be useful? Or, for example, is it the fact of hearing your name, in which case an official name change may not be the point, and just having people in your local environment use your new name?
Both matter. The vibration of the birth name is programmed into your DNA and into your karmic matrix. It is radiating out every time someone calls you that. Okay, but if they call you a different name, like a shorter current name, that vibration is creating an overlay, like a layer of energetic icing around it, which is creating a different sort of reality for you. But it is affecting you. Your birth name is a primary name, in a positive, negative, or no, and may not having it may have a neutral effect on specific aspects in that. A written name also radiates a frequency as well. Okay, so when it's out in the matrix, like it's on your driver's license, or it's on your passport, that is also creating you out in the matrix. That has a major effect as well. So don't underestimate the power of any of that stuff.
Okay, so I mean, you would absolutely, in that case, recommend an official name change if you wanted to have the full impact of using a new name.
Yes, because then it propagates through the whole matrix, and you become that person in the whole matrix.
Right.
It's quite a strong experience actually changing the name, going the whole way legally and in common usage. It takes a couple of years actually to get it all through because of the shift in energy and consciousness that's required.
Well, I think it's a whole psychological process as well.
Oh yeah, it's very strong. It brings up a lot of issues because normally if you change your name, you have to grow into a bigger name.
Yeah, I'm somebody, I mean, I'm 50, almost 54 years old now. And I think I've only just discovered in the last couple of years what my purpose is and starting to grow into it. And I guess the question that going through my mind is, now having discovered that, maybe that's sufficient in and of itself to work through one of my biggest karma challenges, which is related to a 4. I've got a double 4 in abundance in both my karma, but also the goals. Or, you know, would it be worthwhile to have a name change? So I'm reluctant to go to the name change because I don't dislike my name.
Well, as Delta and I was sharing before, you can, if you get the right optimal name, it's actually an art form to find the right optimal name. We teach in level 2. Your life can accelerate enormously, but also it's designed to address those very issues, the karmic and goal issues you have. By putting the right frequency in, we can make transform much faster. That means you can get more of the mission done. Most people get maybe 10-20% of their mission done in a given life, if you're lucky. But if you use the really cutting-edge tools like this, divine healing, whatever tools, you can really clear your stuff. You can get a lot more done. A lot more done. It's a question of how much you want to contribute, really.
Right.
Also, the ego doesn't like change, and it will resist it at all costs. We've got some beeping in the background from somebody. I think that is. Oh, it's Roberta, I think. So it's about deciding, do I really want to make the maximum shift? And the ego won't like it. So mine never likes it, but I just keep doing it. And after a while, it starts to dissolve and surrender. Okay. So it's a question of how far you want to go in this life.
Well, I don't think, in a sense, I don't think in my case I can go further because I've been unemployed for 2.5 years now. So I think the abundance thing, you know, I didn't listen to it before. And so I had to become unemployed and start eating through, living off my savings in order to see this. And so, you know, the world is completely open to me now because I have no new job. It's for myself to create something from where I stand now. So I'm doing the best I can based on the knowledge I have, but, you know, it takes time. And I guess at 54 years old, maybe I don't feel I have so much time on my hands.
Well, all the more of a motivation to find the optimal tools to get there.
Yeah,
so in your case, we'd optimize the name to maximize the flow of abundance, okay, and service. Service first in abundance. So you're to attract the right type of client to you. So basically, when you get the right optimal name for a practitioner, then it does it by itself. Just once you've set the name in place and commonly use it, it's actually doing a lot of work for you without you having to put any more effort in.
Right.
Okay. And most practitioners, we design a name for their specific niche of clients, and then their business starts to happen, provided they work on the issues that will come up as a result of it. So it takes them to a completely different space.
Would you recommend, or would an approach be, you know, in a case like mine where you have a certain reluctance to do an official name change, to start using?
Yeah, you use common
name, but maybe not officially.
Try it on for a while and see if it fits.
Yeah, exactly.
Just try it for a few months, then you'll know.
Exactly. Yeah, and start to feel the energy of it. Yeah.
And people usually look back and thinking, who's Michael Simmons? And when you look back thinking, who's that person? Then you know you've got the right name because you become.
Right.
You see. Okay. Then you do the legal name change because it's like, what am I waiting for? Let's go. I want the rest. You see.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. That could be an approach for me.
That's how it works. Any other questions? Delta, do you have any questions?
Just on the subject of name change, can I ask something?
Who's talking now? I can't see. Roberta, yeah.
So on the subject of name change, so if you drop your middle name, and let's say on your passport, you don't have it on your middle name, like you don't have your middle name on your passport, that's, I guess, an official legal document, then what name are you working with? Like my name, I don't use my middle name at all. I just use my first and last name.
We would look at that as a current name, but it probably isn't optimal, very rarely is. And so the idea is to get an optimal name that you use on everything in common usage and on all legal documents, and then you move to a completely different reality in your life.
No problem. But then one of the other things you mentioned in the book is if your first name, your middle name, and your last name is like way too many characters, then it dilutes it, right?
It depends.
My name is Roberta Beverly Halpenny. That's like way beyond your...
Yeah, we'd be looking for maybe 18 to 25 letters at the most in an optimal name. Most optimal names are 3 names to give us enough room for maneuver when developing it to basically address all your karmic and goal issues, really.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so sometimes they can be quite long, but that was just a guidance saying in the book when you have too many letters, there's too many frequencies you have to try and satisfy, which can get pretty frustrating. That's why I put it in there. It explains why some people have too much stuff to do because they're trying to satisfy all those energies at a soul level.
But then if you have a name that's long and you have multiple dominant vibrations and multiple things that are the same, wouldn't that all play hand in hand?
It depends. You have to look at it case by case. Sometimes that's what the soul wants, Roberta, and sometimes that's what's perfect for the mission. But you can't sort of you can't generalize it too much. You have to look at exactly what's going on, and what you subjectively at this stage of life feels really important to you. When we optimize names, we design it so the client gets all their subjective needs met. Because the way we turn out is variable. There's many different ways, probable pathways we could actually turn out. But it depends on where you are in that moment. So what you're passionate about, what really makes your heart sing. That will determine how we'd optimize a name for you.
Okay, I see. Thanks.
Charlie's asked a question. I will type. I changed my name to Charlie when I was 15 years old after a traumatic event. But recently I underwent a deep calling to readopt my birth name. Can you talk a little about how the layering energy of this can impact on one another in terms of a name change back to the original? Okay. I have to find you a diagram. Hang on. I'll share the screen in a minute. I just need to find a diagram for you, Charlie. That's that one. Give me a minute. Where's my diagram gone? Okay, so I'm going to share the screen now. So I'm going to share some of the level 2, which is where we look at these sort of things, level 2 presentation. So here's a diagram we use in training, relationship training here. Okay, so this is your birth name, Charlie. And if you change your name to this name here, this frequency, because there's 7 aspects in the chart, physical karma, talents and goals, spiritual karma, talents and goals, and soul destiny. These feed into the adjacent same aspects in the birth name. This layer of icing infuses a particular frequency that changes the birth name. Either positively, negatively, or have no effect, depending on the relationship between the numbers, which we spend a lot of time talking about in the training, level 2. If you go back to the birth name, you're going back to your original karmic pattern, if you're using the full name. That actually is not usually a good idea, because you're just making it worse for yourself. You're getting more of the same old thing, which is why optimizing the name is a better idea, because it's designed to basically dissolve the karmic patterns, help you achieve the goals, bring your talents out, and help you get to the soul destiny. It makes it a lot easier. Life is a lot easier with an optimal name. That's essentially my answer to you. So it's not a good idea to go back to the birth name. at all. Okay. Yeah, I can't actually hear you. You might need to type that because I think you're on mute. Okay. I'll read out your answer. Okay. All right. So thanks. I just said thank you to that. Okay. Any other questions, anybody, before we finish?
I just have a quick question. Hi, it's Renee.
Hi,
So
Renee.
I recently discovered, because I requested my birth certificate because I was going out of the country,
Yeah.
found out that I was taught to spell my name incorrectly my entire life.
Ah.
And I recently, I requested a second birth certificate thinking maybe they had made a mistake, but I've always spelled it with an A, but it's really supposed to be with an E.
Yeah.
Two E's at the end. And I've contemplated getting it changed to the A, since that's how I've spelled it my entire life. I mean, obviously it's pronounced the same, and I'm just wondering, should I just leave it at this point? It's not, I mean, in written form, it's incorrect, but it's been pronounced the same. It's Renee. It's still Renee. It's just spelled. I've just spelled it incorrectly. There's
a slight difference between the A and the E. There's a slight difference, both, especially in a written form. Okay, and that will have an effect. So, there's a reason that quote mistake was happened, because you needed a different set of frequencies as your current name, Renee. So, overall, it'd be better to optimize the name. Look at overall what's going on, so that then you could maximize your chance of getting to where you really want to go in life.
So okay. I guess so you're saying determine if it is causing anything or not, and then make a decision.
Yeah,
overall.
It probably isn't optimal, so it'd be better to optimize it to get the most out of life, really. That's what I would say for something like that.
When you're saying optimize it, do you mean change it to the original spelling, or
No. It's going through a process called name optimization, where we look at
Okay.
what your goals, what's the history and previous relationships with different people, where's your soul taking you, and it'd be optimized with a new name, maybe a new middle name, and there's a whole process there involved there. That's what feels good to you to get you to where you really want to go.
Well, Renee is actually my middle name. I've never used my first name.
You'd look at all that sort of stuff as well to find
Got it. Okay, so it's a different process. And then another question, or two other questions. And the second one is, just the name of a business, let's say you're starting a business, that should be looked at as well, right? To determine what would be the right frequencies of that business.
Yes, a business name needs to be set up so it's going to attract the right sort of people, deliver the right sort of gift to them, and will achieve the right sort of success, and also be aligned with the energy of the owner or owners of the business. And if they're all aligned and it's set up in the right way, then the business will flourish. If it's not, it won't work. Or it'll be
right.
Okay.
So I'm very familiar. I've studied Kabbalah for about 14 years. And so when I came across this, I was like, wow, this is what I've kind of always known, but didn't know that I knew, that there was, the Hebrew letters are so important. And so it definitely resonates with me for sure. But when I speak about it with individuals, a lot of times there are a lot of resistance come up. And I'm wondering, have you ever run across where you've done someone's soul contract reading and they just completely do not resonate with it at all? And if that happens, how do you handle it?
It's very rare to that to happen, because only, as I said earlier, people who seek the absolute truth and structure like turn up for a reading or for the training. Because they're ready to hear the truth. People who are less conscious, which is what you're talking about there, don't want to hear the truth, because the ego is designed to prevent you getting to any truth.
Right. Right. That makes sense. So they're just not ready.
You're just talking to the wrong people.
Got it. Yeah, they're just not
ready. They're not ready to hear it. So people come when they're ready. Okay.
Right. All right. Thank you a lot.
Any other questions, people? I've got one more.
Just the last question from me, Nicolas. So you mentioned divine healing earlier on as a way to help dissolve some of the karma.
Yeah.
Could you just say something about the methodology or the background to the technique? I mean, is it based on some, I don't know, kinesiology or muscle testing? Or?
Yeah, I'll show you. Okay. It was originally based on kinesiological ideas. Okay. Let's see if I can find some slides here. So, divine healing is based upon bringing consciousness to the programs generated by the soul contract. This is the program here. Having the willingness, desire, and courage to bring feeling consciousness here to a program. Okay? Because what you feel, you can heal. But the ego doesn't like that idea, so what it does is it puts this turquoise emotional ice that numbs you out so you can't feel it, or blocks the programs. So divine healing is designed here to gently and gracefully break through the defense mechanisms, and then with a lot of love and dissolve these programs. And it uses the higher self to dissolve ego onion, which is all those programs created by the soul contract, in the right order. There's an right order for actually dissolving programs that everyone has. So basically, you peel the onion. That's not a very good color to choose. You peel the onion layer by layer with divine healing. And if you have the soul contract, you understand what the layers are actually doing. Okay, and if you work at it, you become enlightened actually, ultimately. Because in order to peel back all this illusion that blocks us from our flame of consciousness, blocks us from the pure spark of the divine that we actually are.
When you mention programs, are these thought programs, emotional programs, or all of
a whole range of stuff? Past lives, it can be all sorts of things. It can be soul level programs, it can be astral interference, it can be all sorts of things that program us to create the sense that each of us is not a spark of the divine with these, limited human beings sitting in these little bodies in this reality here. And actually we're vast multidimensional beings. We just went to sleep. Okay, so it helps dismantle a whole bunch of stuff so you wake up.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Does that help?
Okay. Yes, no, it does. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Any other questions?
For Ngan, so you would recommend that this program goes in partnership with the soul contract program, the divine healing?
Yeah, most practitioners, if they haven't got a healing modality, learn soul contract reading. They also learn divine healing, so they have two things they can offer their clients. They say, here's the map of how you move forward. Client buys that, saying, yes, we love that. And so here's some tools to get rid of the roadblocks. Client's even more enthusiastic when they start hearing that, when they actually see some powerful results. So the two are very good for establishing a spiritual practice. It's all very well having understanding what's going on. Here's how we do something about what is blocking things for people. That's the power of the combination of the two. Okay.
Thank you.
Delta, you have to switch on your mic. Bottom left.
Yeah. So now that we're talking about the healing part of it, that's going to be quite fascinating, because I feel like all the stuff that I've done, people tell me what I already know.
Yeah.
And then they butt up against me and they're like, I don't know what the hell to do with you.
Yeah.
So, my entire adult life has been searching and trying to figure out how to unravel this, is the word I use.
Yeah.
And so I find myself getting excited about this course even more so, because I thought it was for the numerology, but now I'm wondering if it's not this healing. And I'm just, and I've done this thing where I hear about something fantastic, and then I come up against this wall. So it works for a lot of people, but I don't know. It just seems like something with me. I don't know if I'm just holding tight to something, and this is why partly why I changed my name. I knew that there was something holding me back. And so I was hoping that my optimized name would catapult me forward into this healing. But, and it has. I mean, my life, I would never would have dreamed that my life would turn on like this. I mean, it's just amazing. But I still find myself up against this physical.
We can discuss that when you come on the training. It'll become, I can become clear to me what it is, and I can give you some very specific recommendations. But I have to see the charts.
Okay.
I have to hear your experience, because some egos are tougher than others.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
Whether you're prepared to go into the darkness, but I can show you. I can show you how to get through the darkness.
Okay.
You may not like some of it, to be honest, but
okay. I'm ready to not like it.
You may not like any of it, but this may be the only way to do it.
Yeah. No, I'm open for it.
Yeah. PJ, you're out of the K. Any other questions before I do one more slide? Anyone? No? Okay, I'll do my last slide. Okay. All right, so, all right. Take it to go up here. So, if you want to learn how to do this, we run the course twice a year, and the next one is 10th to the 14th of October. If you're feeling drawn to this, it's a soul thing to come to this sort of stuff. We did it on Zoom, 12:30 to 8:30 p.m. UK time. This is designed to run from California out to the Eastern Bloc. If you're in California, it's 4:30 a.m., which is better than flying to England, which is what people used to do. 7:30 a.m. start in Eastern time, or if you're in Europe, it's basically 1:30 to 9:30 p.m. So it's pretty civilized for most people. You can stay at home, no traveling, cuts the cost, and it's all on Zoom. And we teach 8 hours a day. It's about 4 1.5-hour slots. So it's usually a very international class, very international. You meet all sorts of interesting people. The total cost is £616, about $800 US. Might be better value depending on what happens with Brexit. And the pound. 229 deposit here to secure a place, about $300 US. And easy to remember URL, soulcontractreading.com if you like to secure a place. It's starting to fill up. So any final questions, guys, before we go? I have the video out in the next couple of days with this. So I want to thank you all for engaging. It's been great. Have this dialogue, and hope you got what you needed. Okay. All right. Thank you.